come up with that dog shit pick. What the fuck were we thinking? What the fuck were you thinking?
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Jimnasium. Feels good to be talking here with you. As always, I am XFL Jim, joined by the communications major man. It is Chase, Wolf of Oaklawn, the Lupine Fiasco Sesums. What's up, my man?
What's up, buddy? How's it going? How's life? How you living?
Going good. What'd you think of the mega day of XFL? The mega Sunday.
It started off real hot. And then it got progressively slower and a little more boring towards the end.
To be fair, there were moments in all three games. Like, the first two games were close throughout.
Yeah, true. No, that's completely, yeah. It's just,
I held out hope for the Brahmas.
It's not okay. It's not that they were necessarily boring. It's just that opener on Sunday was a just banger matchup.
Going from the Saturday game to the Sunday game was just banger.
Right, exactly. No, that yes, totally that. And then it's not their fault. It was just lackluster in comparison to the two games that happened before it. I mean, the game immediately before it had gotten so rowdy that they shut it down with 10 seconds left. They didn't even finish the game. That's awesome.
That's amazing. Let's just start breaking down these games. Game number one, the lone Saturday game, we had the Seattle Sea Dragons taking on the Vegas Vipers. Seattle winning this one 30-26.
Free Josh Gordon!
Josh Gordon unlocked. Ben DiNucci going off.
We did it all for DiNucci. What? DiNucci. Yeah, man. Like, we've been I still don't think
we've been talking about.
I still don't think that this is the game that Josh Gordon has completely just gone on these D-backs yet. Like, I still think he has like way huger games in store for him.
No, there'll be a game where like they key in on like Ja'Cour Pearson.
Yeah, and he'll have like 300 yards.
Yeah, he'll have like a 250-yard game, 4 touchdowns, some random like get in on the jet sweep action.
We still haven't seen him like get the ball on the field in space and just like break tackles and be bigger and faster than everyone yet. Like except for the game-winning catch where he just like took that ball away from the DB, mossed him so hard he was mossed.
It was disgusting, but not to take anything away from the Vipers because the Vipers looked well improved with round 2 of Hundley.
Yeah, the Vipers look really good with Brett Hundley. They're able to, be a little bit more balanced, it looks like, on offense. With they seem to have a little bit more of a rushing threat with Hundley than they have with Luis Perez. Go figure.
Yeah, makes sense.
I mean, I think their defense is okay. It just hasn't had things gone their way, and literally ran into just like a superior human being at the end of that last game.
I will say their defense is okay overall. They do not have a good rush D.
It's not great. Yeah, it's not great.
But
very few teams actually have a rush game in this league, though. So
it's fair. There's like two teams. 2 real teams that have it.
2.5. Yeah.
I would say Vegas looked well improved. Jeff Badette also going off, 4 receptions, 93 yards, and a touchdown. He's coming alive.
Spring League veteran Jeff Badette.
This was an awesome game.
The Spring League vet Badette. I like it. We got a nickname there, Spring League vet Badette.
So I saw people on Twitter saying this was the best Spring League performance by a quarterback since Case Cookus.
For who? For DiNucci? Really?
Some people were saying that.
It was pretty impressive, just the amount of yards he was able to rack up in another just like crazy windy game at Cashman.
Yeah, it was super. Do you think the announcers talked a little too much about the wind?
No, because I think they were on that scaffolding swaying in the breeze and scared for their fucking lives.
They might have been. Yeah, they might have been pretty fucking scary.
I probably would have mentioned it a few times at that juncture, at that Lemony Snicket series of misfortunate events.
So when they like zoomed out and showed both like the coordinators and whatnot up there too, it's a very hilarious looking setup.
Yeah, man. Yeah, especially we could see like loose fabrics flapping in the breeze behind the OC while he's trying to make the calls on the field and everything. But I mean, yeah, I think, it's funny because I think the Sea Dragons will be fine, though they haven't necessarily given me anything except for that last game against Vegas, who hasn't won now.
0-3 for Vegas. They're probably. I mean, I'm going to say they're out of the playoff hunt.
I'm going to say they're the most impressive 0-3 looking, most impressive looking 0-3 football team I've ever seen.
I thought you were going to say they're the most impressive 0-3 football team in the XFL. I was like, well, their competition's not that steep.
Yeah, just ever. Thinking of 0-3 teams in the history of football, they're the best ever.
Vegas gets their first win week 5.
Again, who's that? Who's the opponent?
It's the Guardians.
Oh yeah, that's everybody's like free square on the bingo card. Really,
the Guardians get their first win.
They will win a game.
I want to say week 8 they get Arlington at home, but I'm going to say it's going to be a crazy one.
Right.
Because what did we say? We did the same thing with the USFL. Orlando gets their first win week 10 in St. Louis.
Oh wow, that would
Last
be good.
One. They get one win, and it's the St. Louis Battlehawks.
It knocks St. Louis out of the playoffs.
Ugh. The XFL would hate the Guardians. They
Yeah.
I'm of the assumption if you subscribe to the conspiracy theories of XFL rigged, the two teams they want in the championship game have to be
Houston and St. Louis.
It has to be either Houston, St. Louis, or St. Louis, San Antonio. The biggest markets.
Right.
You're gonna get like the biggest crowd.
Right. That's fair.
You want San Antonio because it's in San Antonio.
True. Yeah, that's definitely true. They'll pack that place out no matter who's there.
It's true. I'm gonna be there.
Yeah, you will.
God damn. This was a great game. This was kind of a start of things to come. It developed more on Saturday morning. But this game was chippy too.
Yeah, I mean, if you're the Vipers, you're probably tired of being pushed around, and same thing. It's just like two 0-2 teams taking out their aggression on each other.
I do love the Vipers coach on comms when they're down though, because I feel so bad. Did you see him after the game? He looked like he was crying.
I didn't see that.
He just had his hands like this. It was just like,
yeah.
He's so tired of losing.
Speaking of the Vipers comms, they have to have the single game record for fucks by a quarterback in the on the mic chatter.
That was like every other word Brett Hundley was saying.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was every time he did it, I giggled like a little like a fourth grader who the F word was kind of new to and kind of funny,
The guy whose job it is to have the mute button at ESPN is getting a workout because there were so many games this weekend where announcers would be talking, you'd be able to hear the players and just mute. They would just mute, and they never get it right on time. They always are like 5 seconds behind. So you just hear fuck, or you hear fuck, and then nothing, and it's just pure silence. I think this sets up the Dragons pretty well. I think they could roll this. They get a nice little home game after this one. Let's see if the Seattle crowd shows up on a Saturday night. That environment really plays to their advantage, I think. So their first home opener was on a Thursday, and I think this Saturday game you might be able to see the Sea Dragons show out. The Sea Dragons fans, they were pretty well represented in Vegas. I think they can be well represented in Seattle. They damn well better be. Because I like this team. I still I stand by it. They're winning me over because every single time they will elect to go for 3. I saw Ben DiNucci walk up to June Jones and be like, can we go for 2? I want to go for 2. And June's was like, no, we're going for 3. Love that energy. Go for 3 every time. It's free points. It's just free points. Go for 3 every single time. Even if you lose, I will still respect you. And isn't that what we're playing for, is my respect? That's what we're all playing for here. This is the XFL. I'm XFL Jim. You're playing for my respect. He's back, folks.
Fucking internet. Let's go.
The excitement was too much. Sunday morning, St. Louis Battlehawks, DC Defenders. DC wins this one 34-28.
It was a
Battlehawk
banger.
Magic could not withstand the Beer Snake, the Lemons, and the DC home field advantage. DC Defenders, since 2020, still undefeated at home.
I mean, they played a hell of a game. Still have question marks with De'Aaron King. Can he actually throw the ball? Because I kind of thought that the Battlehawks did a damn good job defending De'Aaron King. Like, this game was pretty much just Jordan Ta'amu out there making plays. And then,
a lot of plays, though.
Yeah.
It looked good.
And, per, Dr. Heat defense usual, you have a defensive touchdown. You have, all sorts of turnovers. They're a damn good team.
The first turnovers of the Battlehawks season.
Yeah, it's a toss-up between them and the Roughnecks for best coached defense.
Surprise, surprise for who's coaching those defenses.
Exactly. Yeah, between Wade Phillips and Greg Williams,
Yeah, it's huge. Jordan Ta'amu, this is the best he's looked all season. Abram Smith, like the run game for DC, even though it wasn't as good as usual, was still great. 136 yards between everybody.
I don't know. There were some things that started developing that made me think that the Battlehawks are gonna not have to rely on the horseshoe up their ass for the entire year. Like Hakeem Butler, he went off and looks like he could be a handful for basically any defensive back in the league. Like I think I sent you a message. Yeah, he's like XFL Megatron, 100% like XFL Megatron.
And they were talking about it during the broadcast. This like Battlehawks receiver room in general, they got some big boys just in general. They
do, and also the way the run game got involved. The way they they're the half team earlier. Whenever I said there were 2.5 teams that I could count on to have like a really good, rush offense. So they're starting to come along, and it's making things a little bit easier for AJ McCarron. It's just he didn't make the plays when he needed to, and they ran out of time.
Also, their return game is pretty freaking strong. Darius Shepard's awesome.
Yeah, I can't wait to see a kick get housed. Like, it's been so close to happening a couple times.
It was maybe my favorite moment of 2020 when they did it. The first time it happened, it was the Battlehawks Guardians game.
Yeah.
I think it was the St. Louis home opener of 2020, and they did a reverse.
Yeah, so, which is awesome.
It's awesome. It was awesome.
Yeah. No, I think just what proves to be the difference in all of these DC games is the adjustments that Greg Williams makes throughout the second quarter, the second half, because it just shuts down.
The
teams.
Second half adjustments for DC are insane. And
Absolutely.
If you can't defend the run, DC will just obliterate you.
Yeah, you will not touch the ball for most of the game, and they'll run it up on you, man. Because you're going to be in that position where you have to press, and they've got the pass rush, and they've got the ball hawk and secondary to take it away.
Like, DC with a lead is maybe the most dangerous team? Maybe?
It's almost like the Navy thing of that they're going to just like bread and butter run the ball, and that they're going to just chew up clock doing it.
Exactly. I'm trying to see they have on the website
and like Navy many times this season, they inexplicably went over in this game.
This is a crazy game. Absolutely insane. Followed up, Orlando Guardians at the Arlington Renegades. Renegades win this one 10-9.
Quentin Dormady. Given the things like this, give the Irish a bad name, Jim.
He's gone, Chase.
So he's officially gone because I saw they reinstated him.
The XFL did it. He's off the team.
Okay, so he's back in the XFL, but he's off the Guardians.
I think so. So he's not on the Guardians. The Guardians did say they're going to bring in another quarterback that they're being cheeky with it. They said they're bringing in a quarterback that everyone should be familiar with.
Yeah.
So I don't know what that means.
Aaron Rodgers.
Tim Tebow.
Oh my God. Please. Please. Let's turn this into a full-fledged fucking circus. Please.
Johnny
Do you have
Manziel.
it? Do you?
Johnny Manziel played in the Fan Control Football League. DeAndre Francois played in the Fan Control Football League.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or if they're going for like the spring football kick, I don't know any other spring football. Cardale Jones.
Joe Montana. Let's go.
Tom Brady.
Yes.
How hilarious. Okay, just to like say fuck you and just say fuck around.
Yeah.
Tom Brady joins the Guardians.
Dude.
How hilarious would that be?
Dude. Like.
I'd actually like Tom Brady.
Yeah. There's. You know what's fucked up is that me as one of those people who loves games so much that he 100% would.
We got the confirmation. Shout out XFL analyst on Twitter. Maybe the best like XFL account, not including myself. I'm very selfish.
Mm-hmm.
They're so good. Follow them. It's Quentin Flowers.
Do you
University
play
of South Florida legend.
That's right.
Former Tampa Bay Viper.
Back in the mix. Back in the mix in the XFL in Florida.
Back in the mix of the XFL because I remember weeks 1 through 3, the Tampa Bay Vipers decided to keep trotting out Aaron Murray.
Right.
And everyone knew that wasn't going to work because we saw him in the AAF. It's like, Aaron Murray, no. He's a great guy. I love him as like a commentator.
Yeah.
Terrible in these spring leagues. So they trotted out Quentin Flowers every once in a while. He looked good. And then eventually they started going with the corn dog. And then they were winning.
Yeah.
So we never got to see a full-fledged Quentin Flowers. Give me Quentin Flowers, baby. Make it happen.
Isn't it amazing that they're swapping Quentins for Quentins? Quentin Dormady, Quentin Flowers.
That's fucking crazy.
The XFL pulls off the first ever free agent quarterback Quentin flop. That's amazing. Mark it down. Note the date and time.
20 this came out 22 seconds ago. They tweeted this.
Wow.
Breaking news.
Big bank. I don't know. I did the Law and Order big bank for that, but so here's my takeaway from this game. The Guardians didn't look as bad whenever the other team didn't know what plays were coming.
Yep.
Paxton Lynch looked better.
I will go as far as to say Paxton Lynch looked decent.
Which is, I mean, a lot to say for probably hands down the worst quarterback in the league, right? Worst starting quarterback.
I think easily.
Yeah.
No interceptions. Huge. And they still scored on their opening drive. It was a field goal, but they're continuing that streak, which is good.
He added in his legs.
Yep. Rushed for 43 yards and a touchdown. This offensive line is bad.
It is, but they seem to have found a little something because, I mean, they were playing against one of the tougher defenses in the league with the Renegades, and they managed to not have Paxton Lynch on the ground like every single play like they did whenever they had their opener.
If the Guardians figure out the red zone, they're a good team.
Agree.
And the crazy thing is, even at 0-3, the South is so wide open aside from Houston that they're still kind of in it more than like the Vipers are.
I don't think the South is as wide open. I think there are two teams that are definitely going to be.
It's San Antonio and Houston are the two teams.
Yeah, I mean,
but
it's
like record-wise,
Arlington's in the mix. Arlington is just as good as or they're better than San Antonio at this point at 2-1 versus 1-2.
Exactly. So like, they're still technically in it. They'd have to have a crazy like second half of the season.
I mean, they could end up being the team that is like the Stallions that we think is going to lose every single week, and they somehow just find ways.
They could be. I'm going to stick with my theory that Paxton Lynch is the anti-Jimmy G, where he just finds ways to lose. So, like, the Guardians will be like the anti-Stallions, where we think that they should win. They look great in every game, but they just come away with an L every time.
Yeah. I mean, great teams cover, and that spread was 8.5 points.
Bonkers spread.
Bonkers. Any spread that
total.
large.
That total was at like 40 points when I bet it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think we said on the Picks Porch, like, that's a multi-unit bet on the under. Like, that's a slam under.
Slam. I did also see some people on Twitter complaining that the broadcast talks about betting too much. I was like, no.
I think they're just not used to people talking about betting. I mean,
think that, and I think the
for people who
broadcasters
bet,
probably aren't used to betting.
Right.
talk
Well,
about
but they've started adding people who actually do some like of the ESPN like sports betting, analyst things like Stormy Biantoni or whatever her name is.
She's good.
Yeah, like they had her on the sideline of the DC, DC Seattle or St. Louis game, and they actually, I mean, she actually had really good insight into like betting the live line as well as the live total.
I wish they I'm gonna stand by that. I'm gonna say this like every week. I feel like I wish they would show the live line and live total like in the scorecard.
Right.
Instead of just having the regular total and spread there, just
right.
live.
Yeah, because I mean, once it goes over, like there's still betting implications. Let's see what that real number is.
Yeah, Vince in the chat. I wish the broadcasters just talked more.
I find the chatter like interesting. Like I feel like I pick up on stuff, but I completely understand what Vince is saying. Like,
I think throughout this is year one, they're gonna find a balance. Because remember in 2020, like the first 3 weeks, I think the broadcasters were barely talking, and you hear it was all like the coach play calls and everything like that. I think they're gonna be able to like find a balance. You don't like hearing the refs during the reviews.
Everyone loves listening to referees talk.
I think it'd be cool if we could get the broadcasters in on that, but I understand why we couldn't, because that'd be a little...
Right. Yeah, that would seem uncouth just a bit.
I like being able to hear the refs for the reviews. I'm going to stand by that. I don't really care about hearing the broadcasters for that.
Yeah. But here, my main takeaway with the Guardians is that they're getting the run game on track. They look pretty good running the ball. I don't think that they're going to be a winless team. I think they might win like 2 this year.
How many did the Maulers win?
They won 1 or 2.
I know they won 1. 2022 record. What are you thinking about the Renegades so far? 1-9. The Maulers went 1-9.
Okay.
They beat the Gamblers.
What I think about the Renegades is I think that people kind of thought that Kyle Sloter mixed with Sal Cannella was going to be the magic bullet. Like they were going to be Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce of the XFL once they brought in Sloter. But you still have the exact same offensive line problems. The thing with Cannella was always open because you had to, guard like Jonathan Adams and Johnny Dixon and all those like breakers, wide receivers. Like they had weapons on weapons. And when it comes to the wide receiver position, I just don't think that Arlington's got the same kind of weapons that some of these other teams have with Martavis Bryant, with Josh Gordon out in Seattle, with Butler, Butler in St. Louis, with Pearson in Seattle. Like, yeah, they just don't have the weapons, it seems.
I think so. There's 2 factors here. It's similar to the Vegas Hundley situation. I think they do look way better the next start that Sloter has. And true. I do think that Sloter's better than Plitt.
Yeah.
I talked about it in my previews. If this Arlington team can't get their run game going like everyone expects them to,
right,
then they're not good. Like they need to have a run game.
Right.
No,
I
like
agree.
You're saying, they don't have a lot of great receivers. Like I think Tyler Vaughn's is good.
Right.
I don't think they have a standout guy besides Sal Cannella. When your tight end's your standout.
I mean, it can work sometimes.
It can work. I think Sal Cannella's really good.
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't think they have the weapons, and I don't think that they've got the. I don't think they got the line.
It's not there yet. Maybe they could gel and get better, but.
But you have to consider the fact that at least their defense is good for like a touchdown a game. It seems like, and if that's the case, if they're good for a touchdown a game, they're going to be like a 500 ball club.
Their defense is insane, just based on the fact that how many turnovers they're getting. They're like USC last year.
Right. I mean, they were already guaranteed 2 games by 2 wins Orlando on the schedule, right? So right now, that's what they're looking at, like 4 wins.
So they got the win.
If you just look at what they have, if you just look at what they have now, plus the guaranteed. Well, no, one of those ones was against the Guardians, wasn't it?
I think their whole to weeks 5 and 6, because it's back to back. They go to San Antonio and then they get the Brahmas at home. I think that's everything.
That's a tough
if they
stretch.
Can steal one of those, they're sitting pretty.
If they can steal one, they're sitting pretty
sure. They go to San Antonio, get San Antonio, then they get Seattle. That's a 3-game brutal stretch.
Yeah. I feel like there's a lot that we know and a lot that we don't know. I feel like at some point we would have probably, I don't know. I'm thinking of like Philadelphia. I feel at some point like Philadelphia was just kind of out of the conversation, and then they turned it on at the end, and like somebody's gonna get on a run. They're not all gonna look like what they look like now.
Week 5 is the definitive. Like that's when we kind of know. We have
right.
like ideas and inklings right now. Week 5 is when we know.
And if you know, what I've learned is that if you know, right?
Because
See?
Say if Braden Silvers just starts being awful for Houston, and they drop 2 in a row.
Should we move on?
Just move on to the next game. San Antonio 13, Houston 22. Silvers first half, best half I've ever seen him play.
Yeah. So he still got out of an interception, I believe. And I think he's due at some point this season. He's going to have just a massive blow up game where he throws like 4 or 5 picks, I think. And they go to Cole McDonald. Yeah. I think, but he's so loose with the he's so risky with the football. I feel like he looks like he could get picked off already about 4 or 5 times a game. There's gonna be a game where everyone gets every single one that he tosses.
God, Houston almost doubled San Antonio's yardage.
But Houston was held scoreless the entire second half. That's a feat.
They got all that in the first half.
Basically, the difference in that game was John Trey Franklin. Or Kirkland. Is it Kirkland?
It's Kirkland.
John Trey Kirkland.
Kirkland brand, baby.
Yeah, John Trey Kirkland basically just went bananas in the first half of that game. And because he went bananas that was the difference of the game, was they couldn't stop him. And that just kind of shut it down. Also, Jack Cohn, which is funny because it looks like corn with a backwards R on the back of his jersey. He didn't have a great game by any means, but he didn't have just an absolutely terrible one. He could play better. Like we've seen him play better already.
8 for 20, 64 yards, a touchdown and a pick.
Okay, so he had an absolutely awful game.
This is the Jack Cohn we expected, but
we've already seen a better Jack Cohn twice.
Yeah. I'm going to chalk that up more to this is Jack Cohn against the best defense in the league. So
against a Hall of Fame defensive coordinator.
I think San Antonio is
defensive head coach, I guess.
He looked good against DC.
Yeah.
And that was week 1, but DC probably has the second best defense in the league.
Yeah.
So he can look good. Also, doesn't help. Jack Fitzpatrick kind of got hurt early on.
He's such a fucking.
He's so good.
He's so big. You can tell he's so out of shape too, but he is so fucking huge.
He runs so mad too.
He's like him and Kalen Ballage together are a dynamic, hands down the best 2-headed monster backfield in the XFL.
Which, shout out, because Jack Fitzpatrick was also part of the best 2-headed monster in the run game in the XFL in 2020 with him and Davion Smith for the Vipers. He's just he kills it in the XFL. He's just gigantic.
He's a huge human being.
Roughnecks, it's really just I think in order for them to lose, Brandon Silvers has to have a really bad game.
It's coming.
Probably. But like, even if he just has like a kind of bad game, I think this defense is good enough to keep them in almost any game.
So here are my bold predictions for the season. One is that the Guardians will win 2 games. Just somewhere they'll get 2 games. But they'll get 2 games. The other one is that the Roughnecks will lose at least 2 games.
At least. So, do you think there is any team that goes undefeated?
I don't.
I don't think so either.
I think it's too hard to do. I think at any level of professional football, it's too hard to go undefeated.
Stallions almost did it in the USFL last year. I don't think any team does it this year. I think DC, like week 5, DC has to now return the favor, and they go to St. Louis in week 5.
A rock of St. Louis. They're talking 30,000 people at their home opener.
Yeah, next week. So let's just go. Let's look to the future a little bit. Week 4, we have some lines out right now. Houston Roughnecks at Orlando Guardians. 8.5 on the road for Houston. Over under 37.5.
I feel like that's Houston in the under, right?
I feel like it's gotta be.
Yeah.
Like, you saw already, Houston mollywopped they beat the dog shit out of the Guardians week 1.
Yeah.
And
Right.
I think they could do it again.
Yeah, absolutely. I do think the reason that I swing towards the under is that I feel like the Guardians have their run game a little bit more underneath them. And listen, as the unders taker who has a PhD in undertakeology, you want teams with run games that are just going to keep the clock rolling and rolling and rolling. So I think that's why I think they get the shit kicked out of them, but I think they keep the score. You know, they don't score very many points, and they take the time to keep the Roughnecks from scoring.
The question is, do we think the Roughnecks score more? Because the issue with that the friggin' Guardians ran into week 1 was turnovers.
Right.
3
I mean, if you
interceptions between Paxton Lynch and Quentin Dormady.
and how many? I mean, they had at least one score on defense, right?
I'm pretty sure they. No, they didn't. They just had short fields.
They had very short fields. Okay, so I don't know. Sometimes I feel like that Roughnecks team, you can make up some of their scoring by like takeaway to the house, kind of, pick sixes and scooping scores.
The Roughnecks won this matchup 33-12.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. It's going to be hard to take that total, but
yeah, you're starting to make me waffle on if I want the under there or not.
I might not touch it, but I like the Roughnecks minus the 8.5. Brahmas at Sea Dragons, the second Seattle home game. This one on a Saturday night.
Which last time was on a Thursday night, right?
Yeah, Thursday evening. This one's like Saturday. It's Saturday at 7 p.m. local time.
Yeah, I think you'll get a better crowd for this one, which might, in my opinion, pushes it towards Seattle a point and a half, right, for home field, we'll say.
I would think so. Right now, the line Seattle minus 4.5, over under of 40.5.
So they really think. So I guess what they're telling us is they really think this is a 3-point game, but they're going to give them the 1.5 for the home field advantage. Seattle? It feels like every one of their games has been by like 2 points so far this year.
So far, 3 for 3 opening. Obviously, the opener they lose to DC, 18-22. So that's a 4-point game. Week 2 they played St. Louis. They lost 20-18. Last second comeback by St. Louis, 2-point game. Week 3 they won 30-26, 4-point game.
Yeah.
So it really depends.
So basically, what it comes down to is that's a really fucking good number that they gave us there with 4.5.
That's a really good number.
It makes it hard to play. Other than can I get value on the Dragons on the money line, and I have a feeling that I cannot.
I mean, similar to what we've been saying about the XFL all year. Live bet it.
True. Just wait for one of the teams to go down and then live bet it. And if they don't go down, just don't touch it.
Live bet it at like a 7.5 or something.
Right.
This all comes down to: do you think Jack Cohn kind of like curls up, or do you think he bounces back? And do you think Seattle and Ben DiNucci kind of regress a little bit, or do you think this is what they are? They found themselves.
No, I don't think. I think you have like a good few games of regression, where this June Jones offense is getting more and more creative, and like because the wide receivers are starting to figure it out more in terms of what they're supposed to do. Because it's not so much like draw a line in the dirt. This is the route you run. It's like, hey, look up and see where this person is. If this person does this, then you take this option. If they do that, then you do this. And understanding it. I think it only starts rolling more.
I think you get like a build-up effect with that, and the more familiar DiNucci gets with the offense, and it's a very quarterback-driven offense. The more familiar he gets with it, the better they're going to get throughout the season. I think the Sea Dragons are a team you can see heat up throughout the season and get. I kind of like the over 40.5 even at that number. Because I think Jack Cohn bounces back. And I think the Sea Dragons their defense is fine. But I think the Brahmas could run all over them too.
Here's the thing though. I want to know if the running back, was it Ellison?
For San Antonio?
No, for Seattle. That came up
Seattle?
Gimpy. Yeah, he came up
I think
Gimpy.
he's all right. I think he just kind of pulled something.
Okay, because T.J. Hammonds came in, Little Rock, veteran of the Little Rock. He came in and he played
on the stream.
Yeah, he came in and he played pretty well. But they have a really good running back that if he's nicked up, then I might actually just go ahead and sprinkle Brahmas on the money line, man. If he doesn't play, then I will be watching that intently to see if he doesn't play. If he doesn't play, then I'm going Brahmas on the money line. If not, then I think I take the shot to say, because I got to think at -4.5, it's not juiced up. It's either -110, -105.
Yeah.
Then I take -110. Okay, I'll take a meat and potatoes -110 versus
plus 165 on the money line for the Brahmas.
Yeah, I probably take that sprinkle, especially if I hear that running back is out.
I just wanted as an aside. I don't know what they're gonna do with the Vipers next year. You gotta get them out of Cashman's at the very least. Field's not.
There's
good.
got to be just better options in the Vegas area, right? The thing is that had to be dirt cheap for them to play there.
It had to be dirt cheap, and as we all suspect, it was pretty last minute. They didn't announce it till 2 weeks before the league started.
So, I mean, give them another 1-2 more seasons to get the league established and the cash flow going, and then they maybe move up to a better. I don't think they ever play an Allegiant, but I think they play. Well, I mean, they're affiliated with the NFL. Why not? You worry about all the open space that you see on television.
The only negative thing I would say is Cashman Field's the only thing about the XFL so far that seems like Bush League. That's the only thing.
It's legit Bush League.
It's not great.
It reminds me of the fields that I used to play Ultimate Frisbee tournaments on. No shit.
Arlington Renegades, St. Louis Battlehawks, the St. Louis Opener. St. Louis opens as -4, over under 36.5.
I have no confidence, so I think I hammer the 4. Especially with no hook.
Yeah, I'd probably take the 4. St. Louis home opener, I'm going to take the over.
Where do you think that line closes at?
5.5.
I would think you think it goes 5.5 all the way, because you have to think that they're going to be taking just a ton of money until.
I think so.
Yeah.
5.5 probably, because the XFL lines, if you've noticed, some of these lines have moved crazy throughout the week.
If it's 5.5, do you go ahead and you move it back to? Do you go ahead and take the Renegades? At 4, to me it's a no-brainer, the Battlehawks. But I think at 5.5, I think you have to entertain the thought of taking the Renegades there.
I think this might be another live bet situation where if St. Louis goes up early, you might see a 7 or a touchdown, something like that.
Yeah.
And then I'll take the Renegades off of that.
If they go up by a score and a conversion, then you'll get 11.5 or something like that.
Yeah. Also, speaking of conversions, just shout out the Sea Dragons for always going for 3. Because that regression will happen too, where they're going to start hitting those 3-point.
I mean, it's hitting it still right about the exact same rate as the 1 point right now.
Imagine if they hit 3 in a game.
Yeah,
I still blow a team out one of these weeks.
I 100% would be the guy who every time he scores, he goes for 3. Every time instead of kicking off, he goes for the 4th and 15.
Well, so you can only do that if you're behind.
You can only. Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I
it's
didn't
a
know.
comeback mechanic. You can only do it if you're behind.
It would be dope if they let you just make it take it.
That would be hilarious.
Yeah, because somebody would do it. June Jones would do it.
June Jones would do it. Did you
Yeah.
see on the Saturday game, too, where Ben DiNucci walked up and was like, let's go for two, let's go for two, let's go for two, and June's just like, no.
3.
I love it. I fucking love it.
Just the coach with the headset on. This is me being a coach with my headset on.
Yep.
Or do you think they?
Probably like that. Maybe like this.
Arms crossed.
Vegas Vipers at the DC Defenders. DC -6. Over under 40.5. That DC home field advantage is legit. 6 seems like a lot.
I think it's harder to play defense on a field where people are slipping all over the place, especially against a misdirection offense like they ran with Derek King. I kind of like the Vipers to cover. I think, yeah, probably the over.
I'll take the over 40.5. That's probably my favorite play.
Yeah. I don't know. I think I think the Vipers DC watches a lot of game film as to what they did with Derek King because they managed to just absolutely shut him down this weekend. And it just seemed to be by saying, fuck the ball, fuck the running back. Like we were just going, everyone run at Derek King and every single time.
They basically just said, fuck it, throw on us if you want.
Yeah.
We don't think
we're
you
just
can.
we're just gonna zero blitz this thing the entire time and send like 8.
Maybe they're just biding their time. And
Maybe.
then all of a sudden, Derek King will just throw for like 360 yards.
It's coming. It's coming just like the Brandon Silvers blow-up game is coming.
And then Uncle Rico will have just the biggest smile on his face.
Do you want to power rank some shit?
Let's power rank some shit. What's good, Herb? We got Herb Phillips saying what's good.
What good? What's really hood, Herb?
So, for our power ranking, Chase is going to give... I think we should go rank by rank and then kind of come up with the garage's like combined power ranking.
Okay. I'm pulling mine up. Let's
go bottom and top. Who do you have it? I think we have the same team at 8.
I think it's pretty obvious. Yeah, Orlando Guardians.
Yeah, it's the Orlando Guardians. They're not... Yeah, they're the worst team in the XFL. Easy.
Yep.
Who do you have at 7?
Got the Arlington Renegades.
I see why you do it.
They're 2-1, but I feel like they have little to no upside, whereas every other team, some of the teams that are 1 and 2 look like superior football teams.
That's a fair point. My power rankings, I do not allow myself to rank a 1 and 2 team over a 2 and 1 team. So my number 7 are the Vegas Vipers.
Okay.
Not only that, they're 0 and 2. 0 and 3. 0 and 3.
All right. Well, my number 6 is the Vegas Vipers.
Mine are the San Antonio Brahmas. Again, 1 and 2 versus 2 and 1.
Yeah.
I think they're probably... I'd take them on a field versus the Brahmas. They did not look great, but I'm going to chalk that up to Houston's defense looking fantastic.
They're still the most complete team in the league.
I will stand by that.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so for me, number 5, the Seattle Sea Dragons.
Oh,
Number 5.
another agreement. I also have the Seattle Sea Dragons at number 5.
I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that they're a 1 and 2 team in your rule, but also the fact that like they seem like they have upside, but the top 4 is pretty solid, right?
I feel like this is a situation where in a week or two's time they could be like in the top 3.
Yeah, absolutely. And
but they found ways to lose.
Right. There are teams like, I don't know, I could see the Seahawks just having like just a crazy good season. Or sorry, the Battlehawks having a crazy good season. I could also see them just like exploding into flames at some point. Like
the way they've relied on the way they've won games,
yeah. It could, we saw it here. They couldn't bring it back. What are we on? Number 4?
Number 4.
All right. My number 4 is the most complete team in the league, albeit a 1 and 2 team. I think they're going to be one of the 2 teams out of the South. Like you said, if you believe in the scripted XFL, then they're definitely going to be the team out of the South. The San Antonio Brahmas.
This is where my rules come in. This is where I have the Arlington Renegades. 2 and 1. They're my lowest 2 and 1 team, but I have them here.
Okay. I feel like it's. I mean, if you go by standings, if you're, if
I
you
feel
go
like
by
our
basic
3,
bitch
2, and
metrics
1
like
are gonna
that,
be lined up exactly the same.
maybe we'll see. I'm number 3. My number 3 is St. Louis.
Same.
Okay. We might be different 1 and 2.
Oh, we might. Who's your number 2?
Houston.
Oh no, we are different. I have DC at number 2.
And then I'm DC at 1.
Yep, Houston at 1. I just think. Yes, we all know the Brandon Silver's meltdown is coming.
Yeah.
Until it does, this is the best team in my opinion.
I'm leaning towards. I feel like the team that's got the more reliable running attack
Which
is
fair.
the
That's fair.
is the more reliable team. I mean, if you look at how the Stallions did it last year, it's like it seems like the way to win the one team that can just run the ball is the team that wins these spring leagues almost. It's hard to it just you're dealing with guys who are just a notch below like NFL that like it's hard to face adjustments and it's hard to keep like intricate passing games going, especially when like
why the Roughnecks were so good in 2020 because yes, they had PJ Walker and Cam Phillips throwing all over the field, but also they had James Butler to fall back on. And just so everyone knows, James Butler maybe this last year was top 2, top 3 running back in the CFL.
Yeah.
So
like
it helps.
Let's see. Okay, so let's garageify this power ranking.
I think obviously we're gonna have Guardians at 8.
Guardians at 8, definitely.
I am willing to move the Renegades down. I can't put them below the Vipers because they beat the Vipers straight up.
I'd be willing to move the Vipers to 7 and Arlington to 6 and keep Arlington at 6.
I can agree to that.
Okay.
So right now we're at Orlando, Vegas, Arlington.
5
we agreed it's the Sea Dragons.
5 we agreed is the Sea Dragons.
Then
I've got San Antonio.
Basically, I'll just swap San Antonio and Arlington.
That's fair.
St. Louis we had at 3.
Agreed. Now the big question of DC versus Houston.
It's tough.
It's tough because they're very similar on defense. They're extremely similar on defense. They are miles apart on offense.
I'm willing to take DC up front because I trust Jordan Ta'amu more than I trust Brandon Silvers. But
I think there's an extra component to it of you do have 2 dynamic quarterbacks who can score, whereas you have one that is an absolute ticking time bomb on the other.
I do love the OC for Houston. And I like a lot of the weapons they have.
I love Dr. Heat.
Oh, the Dr. Heat's amazing. I'll give you DC this week.
Okay, that's fair. We'll learn a lot. We will learn a lot next week.
We will learn a lot as the DC Defenders take on the Vegas Vipers in a rematch. I think we get 2 rematches or 3 rematches. Did we get all 4 rematches? No, Battlehawks haven't played Arlington yet. And the Brahmas haven't played Seattle yet. So 2 rematches sandwiched with 2 new games.
Yeehaw.
We're almost halfway done, dude.
Yeah, we're closer to halfway than we are to the start.
Actually, not yet.
We will be next week, week 4.
Yes, after week 4.
This weekend, we will be.
Yes.
So this week, we'll be.
And then, I think, what is it? Once we get to week 9, is it? I think it's either week 9 or week 10. We get overlap with the USFL. I think it's week 10.
That's pretty dope. That's really awesome. It's going to be, it'll be like college football levels of football watching.
Yes. You're going to have I'm going to have a shitload of screens.
We might have to download the CAC.
I still have my subscription to the CAC.
Yeah, I got to subscribe to the CAC.
I don't know why I'm still subscribed. I should have just unsubscribed after the USFL season, but
I mean, there's nothing wrong with sometimes just finding a CAC is, aesthetically pleasing.
Every once in a while they got Premier League games on there, and I like watching some soccer every once in a while.
Yeah, you like Man City.
I do.
Yeah.
Did you do anything else this weekend, Chase?
No, I literally just watched XFL football, and it was glorious.
I went to a very fancy golf club and ate some good food.
That'll work.
It was fun. It was a good time.
Yeah.
My little brother works there, so he hooked me up.
There we go. Did you play any golf?
No, I suck
No.
at golf.
Yeah, okay.
Also, I think like to play just a random game, it's like hundreds of dollars, like to play around.
Greens fees.
It's
Yeah.
like it's the second nicest golf course in Lincoln, Nebraska, so it's fucking.
So
nice.
Warren Buffett plays there.
Scott Frost played there, so it's tainted
Wait.
now. He would also hit on women there all the time. Apparently,
Yeah, he does.
I think that'll do it for the gymnasium.
That'll do it.
Folks. Chase, what do you got going on in life?
Oh, man, you can check out my horse racing podcast, the Notorious OTB, brought to you by the Sports
Link down
Gambling
below. Link is in the description.
Brought to you by the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. I'm always on Twitter, being abrasive, at of Oaklawn. I got my Instagram, which is just pics of my dog, mostly,
Very cute.
at Wolf of Oaklawn. And I'm around. I'm in these streets.
So am I. So
Yeah.
you guys know where
That's
to
it.
find me.
We know where to find you.
Thank you all for watching. Thank you for listening. We appreciate you guys, and we look forward to seeing you again for next week's episode of the Gymnasium.